it's 10:30. Wow, things are going like clockwork. This is awesome. We're going to talk about spirit spouse. Because I don't know anything about spirit spouse, and I have done some study on it before, and I gave you little nuggets here and there. Hey, you, how you doing? I thought that we need to go over it in depth. Pastor Glenn and I he invited me to help him with a deliverance one Tuesday night, and I'm like trying to hear what he's saying, and like I can't hear during all that melee. But I didn't need to even, because all of a sudden God just put it into me. She's got a spirit spouse. Pray that bugger out. I'm like, okay. So I'm yelling it at her, and she's just like, her head's down here and her feet's down here, and everything else is like a rainbow upside. I'm like, okay. She's screaming, and then something else from her grandfather, and I'm like, okay. I'm just gonna have to say this, and we'll see what happens. And it's the demon screaming, how'd you know? Remember that?
How did you know that?
Okay, this is interesting. I don't know how to take this. I'm like, well, if it means something to that demon, then it means we were on the right track. And I thought, great, because sometimes my mind starts to go blank on a Tuesday night a lot of times. I come in there is nothing to even give a testimony with. It's like everything I have that I thought I might say or just pop up with or something, it's like, it's gone. It's like wiped off like an eraser on a whiteboard. There ain't nothing left. So when I go in there and I have to do deliverance, all I can do is, God, help me, because I have nothing in me. But then it's okay, because you're blank. You ain't got nothing on your agenda, nothing what you think's going on. And then God can do his work. So it's okay to be empty-brained if it's for the Lord and it's blank for him, So the thing is with the spirit spouse is I came up with her and another person and then another person. I thought, I think we need to do a deeper teaching. This is long. We might not even get through it. We might have to extend it to another month. But I'm going to tell you, I already have it picked out what we're going to do in January. Because in January, a lot of times we start to think about how we want our new year to go. That John Lennon song, so it is Christmas, and what have you done? Another year older, another one gone. I'm like, what have you done in the year? And we try to plan it out, but I don't know, maybe some of you get blank-headed. I'm like, I don't know, I need to really sit and think about this. And then my head would go, poop, there's nothing upstairs. And so well, okay, maybe we should try to lose weight. That has not happened. It just hasn't happened. I did have some macaroni and cheese. It's Stouffer's macaroni and cheese over there. The best stuff ever. And I had a nice healthy bowl of that this morning before coming here. Maybe that's why I feel so great. I don't know. But I use a lot of YouTube. I had some books that spoke about things to pray for in it, and we can begin on stuff like that. But this is something that I had probably 10, 12 people whose things I looked at, and most of them all go really well together. I want to do a shout out though to a couple of them. Ones that they were outstanding. Anointed Fire. I didn't write her down, but Anointed Fire. She really gets into it. Maddie Nottage. She's in the Bahamas.
I love her.
Yes. Whoa, she gets down deep and dirty. She's going to tell you stuff you don't even want to know. She has it going on. I would love to go to the Bahamas and see her.
She's incredible.
Oh my goodness. Pat Holliday. She's written books on these stuff. She has tons of stuff. It gets in there because she was a missionary in Nigeria. She heard all the bad stuff. She'd have to deliver them out of the bad things. And she saw it. And you go there and you think, well, it's just a cultural thing. This is just a myth, they believe, a legend. It's old school. This is what's been passed down into them. And so you think it's maybe just a story passed down generationally. And then you pray for them. And they're freaking out. And you can see that this is not normal. This is ultra. This is ultra demonization. And then they come back a month later, they're there and they're like, life has changed. Life has changed. Their marriage is good. They love their husband again. Or maybe the husband's not cheating on them anymore. Sometimes the woman could not get pregnant, or they would have it and then be miscarriages over and over and over. And you say, well, maybe there's something in your DNA, your little epigenetic thing going on. Maybe you ate some stuff that had some poisons in there, this and that. Maybe somebody's doing witchcraft. But when you have a spirit spouse, it gets in you, and it does not want you to have a marriage.
Amen.
If it does let you have a marriage, say you prevail, no, I'm getting married. You're in the midst of planning the wedding. And about 2 weeks before, one of them gets mad at the other and off they go. The wedding's off. You might get jilted at the altar. Or, okay, you go home to your blissful, little, beautiful, you might be living in a shoebox. Who cares? It's bliss. Another 2 weeks later, you need to file for a divorce. This ain't going to work. Does that sound familiar? You know, I'm like, whoa, this happened in her family. I'm thinking, whoa, it just rings bells sometimes. You know, or if you stay in that marriage, it's going to be miserable. Hell on earth. The guy's always going to be cheating on you, or the girl's going to go out and hoeing around and prostituting herself, or just can't keep her hands off of everybody. But you're left out in the cold.
A destroyer of,
Yes.
of intimacy between
Yes.
a husband and a wife, and a
Yes.
blocking,
Yes.
so that destroying that, so that does not happen.
Yes, exactly. We're going to get into all kind of stuff here. So, Ed Citronelli, Vlad Zavchuk, Mike Signorelli. These are some of the ones that they're in my book somewhere or another, about like 5 more people that really spoke to me with their knowledge. So all I can say is this is a conglomeration of a lot of people's understanding. People that have been in Africa, people that had to pray deliverance in Africa, people that live it, they're in that culture, and they try to teach you so you can see it and understand it, whether it's happening to you, happening to someone in your family, your husband, your wife or whatever, your fiance, or you're trying to have kids and you can't have kids. And people sit there and poo-poo it, until that person has gone off, found themselves a deliverance minister, maybe had to go several times to get free. There you go. Come on in, guys. You can sit right next to the food and start eating whenever you want. We're talking about spirit spouses, Sis Tori. And so the thing is the spirit spouse is just a term for the type of demon that comes, and it seeks to keep you as a mate, as its spiritual spouse. It links up with you in your soul. It links to your body. It links into your mind and makes you want it more than your own spouse. It says, I'm better than that one. I can take care of you better than that one. I will provide for you, and I will provide sex for you. And just to be kind of graphic, it's like, usually the people say that sex, when it comes in your dreams, and it might be like somebody, a face that you know, a face that you don't know, a face of somebody around you, or it's just somebody totally you do not know. Hold on, but the sex is better than with a human being. I'm going to be ignorant and say the orgasm is stronger, but sometimes it's hard and violent, and it shakes you up, and it's not fun. Yes.
I just need another discerner. So I saw the spirit of sex magic cast out of people already. Is that the same demon as a husband spirit, or are they like evil, whatever?
It might tie into it.
Okay.
A lot of those things like are a little nest, a little group sometimes, and they hold on tight. And like one might be like, well, we're really relating into the magic part. Some of this is not about the magic or the witchcraft. You might have opened it up yourself simply because you're watching porn, playing with yourself. It can come in just whatever way that it possibly can. The lady from Africa, well, she's not from Africa, she's from here, Pat Holiday. She writes all kind of books. She's all over YouTube. She's just a real sweet lady. And she's like, in her opinion, everybody's had something like this going on in their life. And psychiatrists will say, well, you just met up somebody, you were attracted to this person, and now you're thinking of them, it's coming up in your brain, so you have a dream, and it goes a little too far. But what she says, if it's consistent, if this is happening quite often, more than just like, oh, you know, had this happen, that was months ago, and then it happens again. But if it's happening on and on a regular type of basis, let's continue, or I won't get down to the end, because I could keep yapping. And there's things I want to put into you. So it's usually seeking a sexual union. There are some that are not sexual. They will lie with you in bed. Some people actually feel them lying, a thump on the bed, and you can feel it grasping you around your waist, maybe humping on you. I'm trying to be, you know, we're okay. We're okay with this.
Yes.
Okay, because it's something that happens to people, and it brings you personally guilt or shame, or like, what's going on? What's wrong with me? Or what's in my house? And it scares you. So there's elements of fear about it. Sometimes people start feeling like, well, that was the greatest dream of my life. This guy, I wonder where he's at in the world, or this or that or something. And you go around and you're like, and people start getting addicted to those dreams. Mm-hmm. And they want it. Because in that dream life, your body does physically orgasm. You will ejaculate. There are wet dreams. And it's simply put, it is getting into the deepest part of your soul realm that even your husband or your wife probably ain't quite even reaching in. Because this thing knows you better than them. Mm-hmm. It's not just a familiar spirit, it's a spousal spirit. And it wants you, it wants your body and your soul, and it wants to take you away from God. It wants to say, how about we spend time together in the morning instead of you praying and worshiping God? Instead of you spending your time with your husband or wife, you pretend to go to sleep and wait for that spirit to come to you because it's going to feel better than what you think your husband or your wife is doing to you. So it starts making your husband or wife look like not so great a sex partner, even though you were perfectly happy enough before, you know, you were fine. But now all of a sudden it's starting to turn you against that your own marital spouse. You see what I mean? It wants to destroy your marriage. It wants to destroy your ministry in the kingdom of God. Because bit by bit, it starts taking a chunk of your soul. Pastor Blaine has said this before. When people get into porn and say they have an orgasm of some sort, and it says it, and drugs, it works the same way. It puts tracks in your brain. Your neurons remember this. It goes in that memory. And like with drugs, it keeps going, but I want it.
Wow.
And it tells you, you want it. And you know you want it because your brain is telling you, you want this. So it's the same through porn. It's the same through masturbation. It's the same through all of this sort of stuff, including all kinds of drugs. It hooks onto your brain. Your brain cells like, got it. We like this. We enjoy this. We're keeping it up in the forefront. You know, something that you don't like, it might get hidden away. You compartmentalize it. You go, that scared me. I didn't like this. These type of dreams, you're just sitting there wondering, you're confused, and you might be going around the whole day that happens. Say it happens in the morning, and you're just waking up, and all this happens, and you're going, whoa, that was crazy. But your knees are wobbling because you just had an orgasm, right? But then the rest of the day, you're going like, I feel unclean. I don't feel right about this. I feel like I've cheated, or I feel like, how did this happen? Or now you're interested in the face of that thing that demon put on to masquerade. You know, it might be like a co-worker, and you have no real interest in this girl at work, but now that demon put on the mask of that face, and this girl came to you. She wasn't being a witch, okay? It's just that's your association with this person. You see this person all the time. They talked to you. They said, hey, you, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, it's not that you have a sexual fantasy, or maybe you're like, oh, she's really nice. And then all of a sudden, you're having a dream. And this is happening. And everything's going off the charts. And you go, maybe. Some people have dreams and they think, well, that must be God is showing me my spouse. God's showing me who I'm supposed to marry. And like, no, because it's really just a demon wearing somebody's face of their own choice. Yes.
It's like another question. It might take a few hours to tell. But so
Okay.
I saw this in public. I
Okay.
saw it in New York City. The lady was leading around a child that was like 20 years younger by a chain. And the child was like telling the lady where to go and do things and had a spirit guide. Was that the same as the husband's spirit, or were there other things going on there?
Probably something else. Most likely. But I will say spirit spouses do like to control and rather enslave, all in the name of love. It's not real love. It's not real love, okay? You know, when somebody's controlling you and enslaving you and dominating you, when they're dominating, and it's like you don't even like it anymore. You don't like how this person's treating you. That's not real love. You know, domination is supposed to be equal partners in the marriage. Man's supposed to be the head of the house, yes. But that's, you know, not in a unloving, unkind way. It's supposed to be, you love your husband, and so you say, he just said I can't spend $500 at Macy's. He ain't even let me go in the dollar store. And you go, we got bills to pay, honey. And you go, fine. I will save up every quarter I find. I'm going to go and find all my quarters I got sprinkled in my car for the Aldi's cart. And I'm going to go to the dollar store. Just kidding. They surprise you with their sex. You didn't see this coming in the dream. You're just wondering, what's in that dream? What's happening here? You might think this is a weird situation. And then all of a sudden, this person's coming up to you, man or woman. Maybe a transgender. There are transgender demons. And it will switch off.
Wow.
And you're invited to do this and that. There are lesbian ones. You can have a lesbian attack you in a dream. You're a girl. You can be a guy, and another guy is attacking you in the dream sexually. You can have a demon spirit that has both male and female parts. And they just do it all. Okay? I was like kind of shocked, but that's what the guy said. I'm like, you know what? I bet they do. Because demons, a lot of these demon marine spirits, they're hybrids. These were things that were formed on earth by the union of fallen angels, they're demons, and the women. And then you have these powerful giants, and they had that knowledge. It's in the book of Enoch, you know, about all this different kind of knowledge. Combining different types of animals together. Combining, hello, humans, we are classified as animals, okay? That's not a stretch of it. We are mammals. So what's the difference? That's what they were doing. A lot of people will sit there and tell you straight up that there's, you know, like the mermaids and the mermen, the half fish, you know, the centaurs, it's half man and half goat, half horse, all these type of things, that it's not a myth. It's what the fallen angels did. because they knew how to make things work. We don't know how to do that. We know how to clone at this point. I don't think we're doing that. They might be. Who knows? I don't know what's going on in that sector of society. I don't want to. There's some things I didn't want to know. Like this spirit spouse stuff, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't want to know it. I did not want to know. I'm like, I don't want to know about this. And then it kept coming back to me. I'm like, I guess I have to learn about Marine Kingdom. You know, I mean, like, I was okay with basic, normal Tuesday night demons. Like, okay, I'm used to them. Like, we're doing something harder and yuckier here. I'm like, oh, Lord Jesus, help me. Like, I just don't want to know about it. And like, they says, well, you can walk away from it, but then you're not going to be able to bless people with deliverance for themselves.
Amen.
I'm like, oh. Oh, God. You're asking me to do stuff that I don't want to do. He's like, well, who else is going to do it here? Nobody else is telling you about this stuff. I'm like, no, I got to go out to YouTube and do a shout out, but please, Maddie Nottage, teach me, you know. Angels on Fire, teach me, you know. And there's a lot of people. There are so many. And then you have the ones that are in Africa, people from the islands. And they know it because it's the lifestyle there, because so many people there are into heavy, deep witchcraft. And they know it's the truth because they used to do it themselves before they turned into a Christian. Yes.
What's that lady's name? Maddie what?
Maddie Nottage. N-O-T-T-A-G-E.
Sorry.
And it's Matty with 2 T's.
And I know a couple of people that's teaching it. I'm actually in a study on those marine spirits
Cool.
as well.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even think of her name. Christina. She introduced me to Apostle Wendy at the School of Torah, T-O-R-A, Trees of Righteousness.
Okay.
They do teachings on it.
Good. Good.
And
Yeah.
Dr. Sani Baidu, S-O-N-N-I-E,
Yeah.
B-A-D-U.
Yeah.
Really good
Yeah.
teachers on it.
There's a lot of good people out there that just want to help us all, because we're in America and we put it down as you know, psychology. We revert everything to psychology. Well, this happened to you as a kid. It's not a spirit. You know, you're crazy. You know, you just have to get over things, and we're going to help you get over it. And it helps it. There's a little spot up here or over here, or Alex can move his chair over and you can sit. Come on in, PJ.
Hey y'all, good morning. How's everybody doing?
Move the plate. Sit down on a plate. Whoops.
Wow.
We got some good food here. If anybody wants to get up and eat, it's fine. Move around, all you need to do. Or you can box some stuff up and take it home too. So it surprises you. It might violently just rape you and molest you. And you wake up hurting. Your groin, your everything down there, I'll just say, hurts. It might ache. You might feel swelled. You're like, I know something happened to me. I was 10 years old, that happened to me. I dreamed that Satan was chasing me. And then he turned into a goat, which I didn't know that was a symbol. And I was raped by a goat.
Wow.
And when I got up in the morning, my back hurt so bad. Like I was butted by a goat with its horns. Everything down there. I could barely walk for like 3 or 4 days. I'm like, everything was swelled. I'm like, what is this? Well, now I have some answers that, you know, there are these type of sexual demons. We talk about incubus, and we talk about succubus, and Lilith is wrapped in. But I want to tell you that Dr. Holliday, she talks about the spirit behind it, the principality. Let me write it down somewhere. Here, we'll put it up here so you can see. No. Deus. And it can also be written with an A in front. This is for the male gender of it, the male appearance, and the female. Asmodeus, Asmodeus. She says that's the principality. And then you think, well, where did she get that information? Well, when you ask the demon, it tells you. And then you look it up. It talks about something like that in the book of Tobit, which is one of the books that was ripped out of the Bible and tossed to the side. It's primarily a spirit of lust, like insane lust for everything, and rage. And then it hooks up and makes its little nest in you. If you accept these things into you, and it keeps coming at you and coming at you until you just like, you kind of give up. Because you don't know what to do. You don't know that is this wrong, is this right? It's just a dream, come on. Leviathan, Jezebel, you know, all kinds of things. I've got a list further down. I'm not even off the second paragraph. This is historically mentioned. It is known, if you've ever studied a little bit about Bible history, there's this guy named St. Augustine. He's got it recorded in one of his books that something called the Sylvan and something called the Faun. These were like, they would draw pictures of these things, you know, like things that come out of the forest, but they were sexual encounter demons. And he said these were people that told him of these things as, you know, he would be missionary and going around and writing and books and people communicating with him, sending him letters, people that were upstanding, upright in his society, people he knew personally, brethren, Christians, deep Christians, that said these things would come to them in the night and things, you know, would happen. And they were asking him, of course, for what do we do? And he's like, well, these are spirits, you know, these are demonic spirits, and they're sexual in nature. And so, you know, I don't know what he told them to do, what his remedy was at that time, but it was recognized that this was a very common thing to happen to people, and that's what they called them then, Sylvans, Sylvan, and Faun, Faun. Not fauna, not a deer fawn, but these little demons that ain't good for you. So it's historically been hundreds and thousands of years being known and being recorded by Christians. Its goal, really, is to destroy your service to God's kingdom. Marine spirits definitely want to do that all the time. That's their main thing. Destroy you, make you a mess, make you a physical mess. We talked about the octopus spirit, mind control, because it wants to take over you. Marine spirits want to take hold of your mind. Yes.
Is Hydra a water spirit, or is it connected to this stuff, or is it better?
Well, we're going to talk about that next month,
Okay.
but it is a water spirit. A hydra is actually a little thing that does live in the water. And what we do is, as people, it's like it will take on, in the spirit realm, it will look like an octopus. Instead of like you or I, or like, you know, one of these half men, half God things, you know, half goats or whatever. It takes on whatever something has characteristics that it can use. Like the octopus we talked about. That felt so weird talking about octopuses, you know, but I seen one on top of somebody's head. I'm a seer, and I saw this over top of that person's head. And I'm like, okay, I did not take any drugs this day. I did not have wine the night before. I'm like, okay, what's it mean? And then the next day, there's a book open on my floor. I don't even know where this book came from. Wow. And it's open up, and Jim's coming out of the bathroom. He says, you got to look at the book that's on the floor in front of the bathroom. I'm like, there's a book on the floor in front of our bathroom. Yeah, right. I'm like, what is up in this house today? And I go up there, I'm like, okay, and it's talking about octopus spirit, a spirit that takes on the look and shape of one, and it uses its tentacles to get into your brain and control your brain and your thoughts and put in confusion and tell you all kind of nasty lies. And we did that, so that's on YouTube. But this is a big kingdom, the marine kingdom. And you say, well, how come it's marine kingdom? Okay, there are spirit spouses that are just simply walking around on earth and they don't have anything to do with the marine kingdom. Marine means they're in the water. That is their home. That's where they live. But there's other ones up in the second heaven. But the marine kingdom ones are considered by most, I think, to be the more powerful ones and the ones that are sent to really destroy your destiny in Christ. And that's when we have to sit there and take thought that, hey, this is not a good scene. There's a billion things out in that ocean that we don't know. And I love going to the ocean, you know, and I find my peace there. I love hearing the waves, the waves that are roaring, dyslexic tongue. And, you know, and I never think of something being in there, something sinister. But I know people that they went out on boats and this and that and came back a little wonky. You know, they were out for a long time and you say, well, they're on a submarine. What do you expect? They're going to be a little, you know, that's not fun to be under the water. But, you know, maybe if they're a person that's opened themselves up to something, some of them things might be projecting themselves through that ship's walls and saying, we've got live bait right here, you know? And the thing is, it's not so much the water, it's just their kingdom within the ocean, their city within the ocean. You can read that Bishop Kenko, and he's not the only person that said this stuff. There's other books by other people that say they were wizards and they lived in the ocean. They did a lot more than Bishop Kenko did, okay? And you can look him up. You can buy his book with Pat Halliday. But there's others out there and they're like, yeah, I'm a preacher now, but I got to tell you first what I used to do. And they'll be like all people that were initiated into the witch doctor stuff because it's a viable religion over there in a lot of parts of Africa. You're Christian or you're that or you're Muslim. There's three things going on. And a lot of people are into the witchcraft because that helps them control things. It helps them find the water. It helps them find food for people. You know, so they're saying, well, we are doing good things for people because we're going to do this type of thing, and God, you know, the spirit that they're praying to is going to start bringing their God is going to go bringing food, and they're starving, and all of a sudden you get food. You're going to believe that witch doctor knows what he's talking about, because all of a sudden somebody's showing up with a big truck. Somehow here you haven't seen a gazelle in 10 years, and one comes running down your village path, and you now have food for the tribe. You're going to say, whoa, this guy knows what he's doing. So he's to destroy your agreement with God for your life, your mission, your calling, your gifts. This thing cages your mind so you can't even think, and then it uses your body for its own pleasure because spirits wanted to get into bodies. They wanted to get into them pigs. Hello? Jesus sent them into the pigs because they want to be in a body. And then what did they do? I thought it was very interesting. They ran into the water. They ran back home. Yep. They ran back home. They didn't want to go in the fire, you know? And when you understand this stuff, you go, wow. That's what I just said like 2 days ago. I never saw that before. They went back to their marine kingdom. They had that guy all locked up, demonized, octopus spirit all around him, wrapped in chains. You probably think I'm incredibly nuts. It's okay. Y'all think I'm really nutty. Tell me about it. I'd be like, click all that in the channel. But the thing is once you understand the spirit realm,
That's right.
then you go, oh, it's a no-brainer. And you want to learn more because then you're either going to get yourself free from something or help somebody else out. Or at least you can say, Pastor Glenn, this person over here, boy, do they need help because I just saw this on them. And he might say, oh, good, let's go pray for them. That's wonderful. Let's approach them and see if they want prayer, you know, about this.
22 years ago, I was in Haiti, back in the bush in Island Zone.
Wow.
And my brother, who was pastor down at the time as a missionary, said there's like these tree guys that voodoo is worship. And I've been praying against tree guys.
Yes.
So I was like, what kind of nuttiness is that?
Yes. This one lady was talking about how when she was initiated into witchcraft, she could suddenly see all the snakes, serpents, pythons in the trees. You can't see them. You know, this other guy was like, I was so afraid before to go into the forest, the jungle area. And then his eyes were opened and he could see everything up in the trees, cackling and sneering at him and mocking everybody. And because then he was growing as an apprentice in witchcraft, they stopped doing that to him because he could do something back to them. He had power over them now.
Wow.
We have power.
That's right.
Jesus gives you power over anything. The biggest dragons, you have power. You are the powerful one. You gotta remember, you are the one made in God's image.
Yes.
He's the one that says, oh my goodness me, you slipped and fell, Adam and Eve, but there's going to be a pile of people after you. And they are going to tread and trample these demons. And you have it in you. It's already there. It just has to come up. You got to agree with it. You got to know what's going on.
Amen. Amen.
There goes Kimmy. Okay, so they want to inhabit your body. Hollywood, dancing, to entertainers, a lot of times are the ones that are targeted because the giants and those demons from the old days, the fallen angels wanted the pretty women. Like, I think I'm safe. But, you know, it's like that. They wanted the beautiful. They saw their beauty. So you think, well, how much is going on with Hollywood? You know, and you've got your singers and the different dancers and all kinds of people that have to be out there and seen. And they go, you know, they get their face tightened up. They get the wrinkles removed. They got their nose job going on. Skin gets bleached. You know, you can't have a freckle on you. Whatever.
Yes.
You want to look pretty, but them demons out there, they're looking at you. Not that if we're just basic people, they're going to go after you anyway because you got a mission for Jesus. They just hate you anyway, no matter what we all look like. And that's just beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I don't care if you're 800 pounds. You're going to have somebody that loves you just because you're nice. Because you're kind, and you always are kind to people. It isn't no flip-flopping, no nonsense of like, I'm nice to you today and not nice tomorrow. You know, that's not a way to keep a husband or a wife. It doesn't matter. We've seen it on TV. They're 800 pounds, and guess what? They've got a girlfriend feeding them everything. Like, honey, slow it down. Slow it down a little bit. One donut at a time. Honey, slow it. One hamburger less today for the next week. Let you get a little used to it. Like, we're not going to do our 20 hamburgers today. Just a little, you know, honestly. They want to get into you and have them accept you in them so they can get in your bloodline. So your children get it, and your grandchildren get it, and your great-grands, and keep passing it down. So what I want to put to you is if you've had, I think probably most of us have had multiple sexual partners in this time of you know, 2000s and the 19s and everything. People started having sex. Everybody getting all loosey-goosey, wanting stuff before the marriage. So no matter whether you waited or whether you didn't wait, when you have sex with someone, you're one with them, and now you're seen as all. Just imagine all those demons from wherever in that person, their whole lineage all the way back is going to come floating into you.
Wow.
And just say you've had 80 people, right? You never got married. You're 35 or something, and you've had this girl and that girl, then this girl, then that girl, or you've had this guy, and you were with him for 2 years, and then that guy for 2 years, and then another guy. Oh, that one lasted 10 years, and then you go nutty because you think I'm getting old, and you go on this guy, and then you want to go to the disco club and the dance hall. You go this one and this one and this one and this one. You go clubbing, you end up with a guy every weekend. All those demons from each of these people, you have sex with them, you're inheriting that. And you wonder why you get a little worse. But see, it makes you think you're feeling really good. I just had sex with this person. They actually liked me. I'm doing great. You know? And instead, you're lining yourself up, and I'm just going to stay quiet until they've really, really got you in a place where you can't fight no more because you're so backslidden. You don't even know Jesus anymore, or maybe you never knew him. He already got you. They want to steal your spirit. They want to kill your soul. They want to take all of you. So they inhabit a Christian. Their thing is to get you away from Jesus. And you're the one that thinks about that and says, I'm not enjoying myself in that church. All they are is doing is talking about not doing this and not doing that and everything I can't do. And I love this. I'm having a great time on a Saturday night and Friday night. And I go there on a Sunday morning, they ruin everything. And I'm having a good time. And I think Jesus wants me to have a good time, they say. I think if he's put all this great stuff out there, we should be all taking part of it because he's given it to us. That's how they think.
Right.
And so they start chiseling away at you until you turn away from Jesus. And you turn away. And the thing is, Jesus is married to the backslider.
Amen.
And there's going to be people praying for you.
Amen.
But some people become reprobate. They do not want anything to do. And very often is really like on their deathbed. They go, I think I need to make things right with God. I've been reprobate. I've turned against the Lord. I even hated him. I called him names. I didn't like the lifestyle. I didn't like the do's and the don'ts. But God, a lot of times he shows up through somebody, just some nurse. Somebody's sitting there. Somebody comes in, you're half unconscious, and they go, you got to accept Jesus again. Go back to Jesus before you die, cousin so-and-so. And in their spirit, man, they can hear you. Their spirit can hear you. And they just might say, yes, I'm sorry, Lord. Yes.
I heard someone say, this helped me with myself, say that we don't understand how strong the human spirit is.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying when the madman of the Gadarenes, even though he had that legion of demons, when he ran to Jesus, that was the
That's
man.
right.
His own spirit.
That's
He
right.
had that
Yes.
much strength in his spirit to
Yes.
know to go to Jesus.
Exactly.
And those 1,000 legions could not stop him.
That's right. That's right. Ain't that cool? That's right. It was the real him recognizing the God in him because he had been a Jewish man. We don't know how he got messed up, but he did. But God was still in him. God had not forsaken him. So we have to always keep people in prayer. It's very important because you don't know when. It might be when they get their death sentence. These things originated from the flood. We went over that. Some of them were like so bad they were cannibalistic. These evil things that came down from the second heaven, the fallen angels, and they go and have kids with women. These things became cannibalistic. They wanted to eat humans. In fact, one of the movies about it showed that there wasn't enough people left. They were going to be running out of human beings. God was creating like famines and this and that on the earth. Now, I don't know if that's all true because I haven't read those type of readings enough to see it. But, it's like this. They were eating other people. You would be like, instead of running from a dinosaur, you're running from a giant. You're running from people that hate true people. And you say, well, why did this happen? Well, it's because they wanted to take the earth back. We're supposed to be on this earth taking back the earth for Jesus.
That's right.
And they were like, oh no, these people are going to come up and do this. So we have to try to eat them up, destroy them and eat them. Hey, we supposed to taste like roasted pork, okay? That's what cannibals down there in Papua New Guinea say, in New Zealand, they say that the cannibals they say we taste like roast pork.
Jeez.
Yes.
What?
Because one of the things that they do is, they say if someone down there gets discovered
Oh my God.
to be a witch, they know they're practicing witchcraft, they're in that type of culture still, they'll say they will kill that witch. They'll say like say something happened to you, and it's determined by the council of their village that it was an unnatural death. Somebody poisoned you, they potioned you up, and you are now dead. And somebody got to pay for that. They will go and they will pray and pray and pray, and they would pray to God, and they would say, God is showing us that sister so-and-so over here is a witch, and she was jealous of this girl. And so she killed her off so she can't take over her position. And then because they were still in a very unusual part of in between Christianity with the Holy Spirit in them, but not enough to understand some of their cultural problems that were not good. They hadn't had enough missionary and enough discipling. They would kill the witch and eat her. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I like to watch Sid Ross, and on Sid Ross, I just watched a show where the lady is helping thousands of pygmies, right?
Yes.
To live and not get taken by the big people.
Yes.
And she said that you got to be so careful, so they hide them away and hide them.
Yeah.
They'll snatch one up. It's like the last one or something, and take them off and chop them up and eat them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she's teaching them God. God showed her, go there and teach them God.
Yes.
And one time God let her go to heaven, and there was pygmies in heaven.
Yes.
Said, thank you for coming and showing us God. Right?
That's right.
Amen.
That's right. And Brie Keaton does that. Yeah, she does that all the time. So there's things about stuff that we read in the Bible that we don't understand, that they're actually talking about these type of people. And if there's pre-flood, it says that there was giants in the land before and after, meaning after the flood, okay? And I'm not sure how they're there, or we don't know actually even if Noah, his sons' wives were clean. It says Noah's generations were clean. Doesn't say anything about the wives that they took with them. There might have been some stuff in their genes but we know there was giants because there was Goliath, and he had brothers. There's also the ones that were called, when you're reading about who they went up in Israel to come against. Let me see if I can find this. There was the Anakim and the Zanzamim, the Zumins and the Zanzumins, and the Rephaims, and other ones too. The last, it's recorded. It's right there in the Bible. Og of Bashan was the last giant king. Okay, he was the last one. He was the one that was killed. They would have to come up. It says that they, they had to come out of Egypt. They spent a lot of time in the wilderness, and then they sent the spies, the 12 spies, and they said, "Well, we can't possibly go into that land and win. We're not going to go in there." Moses, Joshua and Caleb's like, "We can do it." All the rest of them like, "We're not going up there because there's giants in the land." Well, they actually meant giants. There was giants, and they were all through the areas of Philistia, and we know that even though a lot of them got killed off because they were sent in there to clean the whole land out again, instead of by flood, by war, led by God. I know, it blew my mind. I never saw this before. But here they are, they got to come in there, and there's a lot of normal people like me and you, that are pagans, and they're told to kill people off. But then you have all these other things. You have these giants, and Og was the last Rephaim king. And they had to take them. Even Moab, the tribe over there across the river, they had to go and they had to fight these things too. And it says they were giants. Sometimes you look up the extra meaning, the meaning behind, what we might have in our King James or something. You look it up and goes, oh, because the interpreters aren't sitting there thinking there's really giants in their land. They're just like, la, 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 sitting there in their nice, cute little English office, or maybe up there in Boston, or, where you're all safe and you never have to think about giants. You think, oh, that's done and over with. But back then, there they were again. There were some people still. And when they went in there, they're like, we're in deep trouble. We are in really deep trouble. The Zanzamims, the Zumins, and all these other ones. I'm trying to see that. Can't. Yeah, I didn't write every one of them. Anakim, Akims, all these different kind. They were just that. And in shamanism, you're required to have a spirit spouse. You know, in those cultures, you've got to do this. You've got to acquire yourself one. They take you through an initiation rite because they're the ones that are going to help you do your spells, your rituals. They're going to give you extra power, and they're going to hook you up with other demons to help empower you and bring you up as you are in your training. It's like here we don't even think of training in the word of the Lord, but there's Satanist people out there, and these shamans they're in training, they're in apprenticeship, they're being taught. It's not a joke to them. It's their life, because they have to be more powerful than all these other people, or else they're going to get killed. Jonathan.
I remember years ago, I was in LaGrange, Georgia, about 30 miles from Atlanta, and me and this girl went to this witchcraft doctor. I wasn't even Christian. I wasn't going to church. I was doing everything, robbing, doing everything.
Right.
She said, you know, we walked into this place, and it was a, you know, tarot card, everything. It was one of those places. And we walked in, and she said, I just want to see if we're supposed to be together or whatever like that. I'm like, you know, whatever. So I took my gun out and put it in the car, you know, and I said, okay, let's go. I went in, and when I went in, she came in with me. I went in, and the lady said, "Get him out of here."
Oh.
She was talking to me. She said, you know, you can't come in here.
Yeah.
And I just wasn't going to church, but never going to
They'll
nothing.
see it. They
and
know.
She told me, she was very adamant, like, hey, get him out.
That's right.
And like, now I kind of understand, but then she was like, you can't come in here.
That's
And
right.
she shut the door.
It is your destiny. They can see your forwards into your destiny.
Get out.
Something similar that happened with a lady friend people used to work with, Akehurst. She went somewhere, they told her, you have to leave here. Miss Lois. Something like that happened to Sister Adriana. She walked in, it was one of those things, and like, she can't come in here. See? Exactly. Yes.
My son Timmy was at a party, they was all drinking behind, whatever, and some guy or woman come in with those cards, playing the card, and somebody had a Ouija board and stuff like this, and the Ouija board was working. It says, I can only do a little in here. I can't do much in here. There's someone in here stopping me.
Yeah.
And then it came to Timmy. They said, no, you have to leave.
You have to
You're
go.
not-
Yeah.
That's
right.
You know too much of the Word of God. You belong to God, and you're hindering me. Get out.
Right. They can call it out. They know. They know what's there. Isn't that something? Okay, let's get on. I'm going to just zip on down here. So much. As I said, we'll probably go over some of this other stuff again. I'm going to sit. I hope you don't mind me sitting down.
Take a load off, Patty.
Oh, all that cooking and stuff and running around. Okay, I'm going to give you a lot of the entry points. And there might be some stuff beyond this, but this is a big list here. So try to stay awake. Well, of course, there's occult practices, interests. You might just have an interest in it, but it can open up the door, a little crack for something nasty to slither on in, okay? Or like a little mouse, you might just squeeze under the door. We have a pet mouse now, Jordan. I got him from the trap here, and I gave him to my granddaughter. So he's got a cute little aquarium to live in, and he was jumping it all around. But that little bugger, he's like this little. I mean, one of them little babies, they could just slide under your door. My goodness. They just flatten themselves out. So our little mouse is named Sniffy, okay? His name's Sniffy. It's guilt by association, too. If you're hanging out with people that are practicing any kind of occult or witchcraft, they like it, and you don't mind, you know, put it this way: if you're in a drug bust and you were there with them, you're going to go off to jail too, because you're there. So it's the same thing in the spirit realm. You were there. You did not put up your shutters and say no. So when you don't say no to something, you are just guilt by association, and you might sense it or you might not sense it slipping in, because it likes slipping on unknown.
Patty,
Are
these entry points for just demons in general, or what are these the entry points for?
For the spirit spouse.
For the spirit spouse,
Mm-hmm.
gotcha, okay.
But probably for most demons, right? But especially later on, we'll get to some things. It might be you're using Kachina dolls, potions, charms, dabbling around in this and that. Kundalini yoga, saging, you might think, oh, well, I just feel something weird in my house, and some people like to sage. They do all the smoke with sage, and they think, wow, it feels better now. Well, you're dabbling then, okay? We're not supposed to dabble. If you're a real Christian, you got to stop dabbling. How's that? Witchcrafts of all sorts, Satanism and paganism, white magic, black magic, using witchcraft, voodoo, being a shaman. Sometimes you're just interested and you want to learn what a shaman is. You want that type of power, because then, wow, you could help heal people, right? But it's hooking you up with the wrong spirits.
Yep.
You know, and it might be the type of shaman, especially like American Indian, where it's that type of thing plus Jesus. You know, so if it's plus Jesus, we don't really want that. We want only Jesus. Yes, Brad.
I know there's Native American Indian, my ancestors. Would that thing have like a legal right? Would it have a legal right just because there's Native American Indian relationship in me, or not necessarily?
It just may. I would definitely, if you do, just pray about it. Pray that anything that's in there, you know, because you just don't know what's slipping down you. I mean, you said no, but sometimes it can be in a representing itself in a different way, you know. So yeah, anytime, you know, because you just don't know what's cleared out, what isn't cleared out, and what's hanging on. You know, just think of it as like a little old bee just sitting there hanging on the flower, and it bounces around in the wind. It might just be hanging on. You don't know what's there. Ask God to give you discernment and just pray it off, no matter what. It's better to be safer than sorry. Okay. These things are there a lot of times. Entry points. You're trying to have a child, and you wanted to get pregnant, so you want to see, you know, some psychic, some witch doctor, somebody in the voodoo, somebody that's supposed to help you get pregnant. The gypsies. Okay, say the gypsies. You're having a problem, they're going to help you. Oh, get this candle. This is the thing you're going to say. Take these herbs and stuff. If you get potion, it can enter in you, because you're not seeking God. You're thinking the thing that's other than God. Even though you prayed and he ain't gotten you pregnant yet, it's no matter. Just give it time. You have to have patience with God. He's slow to anger, but oftentimes slow to get us on the course, because we're the ones that are looking every other way than the real way, the only true good path. And there's stuff out there, you know, all the energy healings and stuff. Don't do it, because it's just wasting your time. It might make you feel good for a while, and then something else is going to creep in, or it might go dormant for a while. It's okay, it's still in there. It can still do its work in you.
Yeah.
You just don't feel that anxiety. You don't feel that, ugh.
Wow.
It's still there. It just says, go to sleep. You might feel something leaving. Sure, they can make something else leave, and the really big guy is still there. Okay? That's how it works. You ain't going to let the big dudes go. Don't let go of something little and say, act up a lot, roll around on the floor and scream. You'll feel good for a few days. You might feel really good and not have a certain issue. But the big bad boy's still in there. He's just not given those type of manifestations anymore. Okay. Using witchcraft to curse someone because you hate them. You get into witchcraft because you don't like that person and you want them to shut up. You want them to not do this and not do that, or get out of your way because it's your promotion and not theirs. And so you send something on them. It might be a ex-husband, ex-wife. You're getting married. I'm like, well, I'm going to fix them. And they do some witchcraft on you. Maybe even it's just the words of their mouth. They didn't go to no hoodoo voodoo doctor. They didn't buy no potion. They didn't purchase a spell. They didn't do nothing. Their mouth creates. Everybody's mouth creates, not just the Christians. Look at the whole world. There's really cool things happening. These people are not Christian. They're inventing all kinds of stuff. But their mouth creates. Your words create. And you can be cursed by someone who's at odds with you just through their words. Dedication of a child to Satan or to a water spirit, whatever type of spirit, anything, because they needed food. So they go and they say, hey, we're going to offer this child to the demon such and such and such, the god such and such and such, the goddess so and so. They're not killing them. They're not doing anything like that. It's just that at some point in time, that demon's going to overtake them. It might be in a few years. It might be when they're an adult. It might be as a teenager. 12 and 13 often happens. But, you dedicated your child to this, and that, that was your payment to that witch doctor or whoever, that psychic, that person. And then they say, okay, go about, here, chickens are coming your way, There's going to be a flock of birds coming over you, sort of like Jesus, sending down the quails. But at the same point, you never have paid enough to Satan. He's always going to want more. You held your end of the bargain, but now he wants more and more and more. So there's soul ties, soul bonds, codependency. It's all not the good kind. I also want you to look at Solomon, who had all the concubines, all the wives. He had some decent wives, and then he started getting attracted to people of a different culture with different gods. And he started building their gods, altars. He started building them places to be worshipped in. So here it is, guilt by association. He didn't keep up. He didn't have that heart David, where David would go, oh no, I just done this. God, you just killed my son off. I am sorry. I see what I've done now. Whoa, that's a big wake-up call. Solomon just kept on and on and on. 700, 800, and it was a lot. So here's excess. Excessive lust. Excessive lust for other women. You can't satisfy the guy. He's the wisest man in the whole world. People from other kingdoms coming to see him, all that he's got, all that he's built. He had a zoo. He had his own personal zoo. They'd bring animals for him. He had a very extensive, expensive kingdom. But he got into because in those days, that was a thing for kings to do. So he went all out. He had a different woman he could do this every night for years and not see the same person again. That's a little excess lust. Lust of the eyes, lust of the flesh, and the pride of life, correct? So here you go. It's too much. Let's see, we have Jezebel. Jezebel opens it up because you have the controlling spirit that you pay attention to because you're passive. Or maybe you are the controlling person. And you got to order everybody around, and you get into that Jezebel, and Jezebel says, oh, yoo-hoo, Mr. Principality Asmodeus, I think we got a good one for you. Yeah. And Ahab's like, I don't know what to do with my life. I'll just let somebody else help me run it because I don't know what to do. I can't think. And Asmodeus, the lady portion goes, honey, got something for you. This one will tell you what to do all the time. And then you're out there prostituting yourself because you didn't know what to do. Go out to the bars and get drunk and go home, and that guy's going to take care of you because you did not know what to do with yourself. So the Jezebel, the Ahab, it all works. Mind control. It'll think for you. It'll tell you what to do. It'll make up a game plan that will save you for that day. You're a prostitute, you're going to get fed that day because you just worked, you did your business, and now you've got a little bit of money and you can go and get food and drink. And that's sometimes what people's lives come down to. Just trying to survive. Just that one day, another day, live. Rebellion. It's aversing you against God, what he says through your pastors. Your parents are trying to tell you one thing and you want to do something else. So you go into high school and you hit people. You go in there and you throw desks around. You go in there and you mouth off at the teachers and you're not going to do your homework and you're never going to make out to anything because you think that you don't have to go to school. And the thing is this is a society that's based on commerce. So you got to learn how to get into it somehow. And a lot of times, our communities in the city, everybody's, they're making the meth. They're selling the drugs because that's their business. This is how they know they can make it. And you go into these schools, they don't bother to teach them how to read. Right. Back in the 60s, they were not teaching them how to read. I was there. My friend was there. She was 12 years old. She can't read a thing. She couldn't read a thing. It was like 1971. She can't read. She's like, I'm trying. And you have to get some kind of a job where you work with your hands and you're going to get paid less. It's hard. It's hard. And so you rebel in school, but now even the teachers are rebelling. Like my grandkid, one of them, she can't do math. Do you think there's a teacher there that wants to stay after and say, I'm going to help you, or I'm going to help you read. I'm going to help you in the areas. Our teachers, mine would at least, they say, if you want to stay after school, we're like, we ain't staying after school with him. He's scary. He's mean. He gives me D-minuses on all my algebra papers, And he was trying to open up the door, like, if you need help. But in front of your friends, no. I'm going to get on that bus. I'm going to go home. But we should have just been like, I need help so bad. And I could not recognize it. So luckily, the next year, my algebra teacher, this different guy, all of a sudden, my head just clicked. I'm like, whoa, I've got it. And I started getting straight A's. Yeah. It was crazy. It just clicked. I had prayed really hard. But we get rebellious even against our government or against the officials. It's horrible. In our time now, we have bad cops. We seen what they did with what was that? What did we have? The gun system, the guns, the weapons. Yeah. The gun task force, thank you. And you start losing, respect. You lose respect to them that, okay, they're just dirty cops now. So you lose your respect, and then you don't do what you're told to do, and you end up in the slammer because you just ditched the cop, and you go like, oh crap, now here it goes, and forever on, you've got a record, you've got this, you've got that, and things don't look good, and somehow you might get through it. You might get back into going the right path that will lead you. My cousins, he would run from the cops. He was driving drunk. His car turned over. And I don't know, they all drank like a lot. But finally, he got in the idea that if he doesn't stop this, he's not going to be able to have a really nice wife and get married and have a home, at least what his parents had. So I think he got into the electronics union or something. I don't know. He's smart. He's smart. He was smart and didn't know he was smart. And I think that's what all these people are out there. They are smart and they don't know how smart they can be. What inventions they can come up with businesses they could start. Because the Chinese and the Koreans, they're coming over, they're starting their businesses. And we're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do any of this. We're not taught in school. Why don't we have business in the 9th grade all the way up? So business people are coming out of the school. Come on. Come on. generational curses come on you, an entry point from your own family, your spouse's family, and as I said before, anybody you ever had sex with. Ooh, it's a bite. There's spirit transfers. There's genetics. All kind of things. And it kind of almost looks like at this day and time we have the odds stacked up against us. But not so, because Jesus has given you all authority to pray against the demons if we know about them. So that's why I'm doing this little bit of a course here on this stuff, so we can go, oh, wow, we've got a lot of praying to do. So there's unholy unions through soul ties sometimes, not just because maybe you're one heart, one accord with a jerk, a bad person, or you had sex with them. It's not all about that. You can have it through unforgiveness, bitterness, jealousy, envy, hatred. You got somebody that all you can think of is how much you can't stand that person, right? You can't stand them. They're in your way. They got the boyfriend you wanted. They bought a puppy dog. Oh, they bought that purse. You seen it in the store, and it was $300, and they have it. And you don't know that their whole family got together and everybody pitched in $20 at for Christmas and their birthday, and they all saved up and they got you that thing, and you didn't put out one penny. That's how my nice little pocketbook here is. It was like a $350 present, a purse. And they're going, Mom, we all remember when you went to Walmart and bought a $6 purse and it was on sale, and you kept that thing for about 7 or 8 years. It would not die. And I liked it. I'm like, well, I like my pocketbook. And they're going, well, we remember when you finally actually went out and actually got another pocketbook. And you looked, I am a pocketbook hound, okay? And I have spent money on it, but I save and I save and I save. And it might take me a while to get them. But then they did that for me on Mother's Day. And I'm like, wow. That just floored me. That they remembered something little like that. Because we live kind of, they had, cinnamon toast for breakfast and chicken dogs or ramen noodle soup for lunch because we homeschooled. And I was really grateful that they made noodle soup, like that for it was like eight for $1. And that's what they ate, and they still like eating it. I'm like, yeah, that'll do something to be cheap so they could have the one nutritious dinner, the dinner was the nutritious thing. And I was glad to do that. I was really glad we had that. That was like, so I would, we would go all out for dinner. We never went out for dinner, but they would have meat on their plate. Of course, my husband, he did a lot of hunting too, so we ate a lot of deer and bunny rabbit. And I had to go and find somebody from Western Maryland to teach me how to cook bunny and squirrel so that you could eat it and it wasn't like shoe leather. Okay, an entry point, you might have been raped, molested, incest happened, there was a pedophile in your life, molestation, abuse, trauma bonds with someone else who was abused, and it floats into you because you're empathic with them. You're feeling it for them, and it becomes your issue too. Living loosely, masturbation, like a continual on and on. You can't stop yourself. Sex addict, adultery, fornication, bestiality. The LGBTQ, etc. thing. Being willingly rebellious when you've known and you're told that this is not natural. And I'm not saying it because I know a lot of people are born feeling they are, as soon as they're entering this world, they got that demon of lesbianism or transgender, all that type of thing comes on you. I saw vision one time, so I don't know, it makes sense to me that the spirit would attach to that person's soul before coming into the body of the mother. And so, yeah, they're born. And other people are willingly, they want to explore in high school, middle school. You know, maybe you're 10 and you want to know what this and that feels like. Or hey, you know, you play around with other ones and all of a sudden you think, I would see it all the time. My kids are in high school. All their friends, they think they're gay, you know. This one says she's a lesbian now. I'm like, though I said, I think it's just a trend. They're going to grow out of this stuff and find their real selves after a while. And some do and some don't because they get hooked in it too much. An association with somebody who masks up, facades, lots of bright and dark, a control freak, and then they're so sweet and this and that. And it leads you into an association, guilt by association again. You're confused. You don't even know who you are with that person. You don't know what you're doing in life. You don't know who you are to them. And you are just in a continual chaos, confusion. You're being abused. Now they're loving you. And that because it's in you and it's soulish. Because you love them, or maybe it's your so-called best friend and that's how they treat you all the time. Well, they'll come around in a couple weeks and we'll go out and have fun again. She just got to get over herself. No. They got a demon in them, and if it's hurting you, then stay away from them. Tell them, do you realize you're doing this? Oh, you're just taking it too hard. Do you want that for a person as your friend? No.
That's right, come on.
You don't need that type of toxicity in your life where you're guessing your worth to them.
Yes.
Wow.
They're putting you down, demeaning you, and then, they've gone out and bought you a necklace. Oh, I was thinking of you. I'm like, well, you just cussed me up the other day. You told me I was this and this and this. Okay. Porn, viewing it, taking the film, participating in it, selling it. These are all open doors. Witchcraft, potions, spells, and charms, dream catchers. I always wanted a dream catcher because I love Indian stuff, and something would just stop me. Yeah. It says, well, it catches them, so they say, honestly, it catches them so it can give them to you over and over and over again, these nightmares. I don't know. I think it's a beautiful form of art, but the spiritual side of it, avoid it, you know?
Yeah.
Avoid that. It's like some things you just can't have. You can't have everything. So avoid some things that are gray or like, If it's got a spirit there to catch your mean, bad, ugly dreams, just pray for an angel. Put on your helmet of salvation at nighttime, you know. Pray some good, serious worship music before you go to bed. And start casting out demons. If you're having these things, you know you've got demons are attacking you in the middle of the night, then you need to pray and get somebody else to pray with you. You might be aligning and agreeing with certain spirits through tattoo. I would say if you've got a tattoo that, and you know it represents, like I've seen this one guy who used to work at our local, Taco Bell. He is a really big, gigantic guy. And I'd be like, look at this. Look at his arms. And I would just try to start up I could see this guy was demonized as heck. He could barely work. And people said, you okay? You okay? Maybe he was just on some kind of medication, right? But I felt like all the stuff that he had on his arms was really, it wasn't just even artistic tattoos. It was evil stuff, 666, you know, like Baphomet with the horns and everything. I'm like, you are really tatted up, aren't you? And I'm like, you know, that makes me feel kind of uncomfortable. And he goes, it's just to look big and bad because people like beating me up. 6'6", probably 400 pounds. And he says, I'm just a real pussycat, so I try to look as bad as I can so people don't. And I wanted to talk to him some more bit by bit and keep buying tacos, you know. And then he finally left the store. But I'm like, well, Jesus does love you a whole lot, you know. And he just looks at me, I'm like, I really mean it. Yeah. He does, no matter what, you know. And he's like, I got to go get your soda cup, you know. But I mean, those tats can, if you're aligning and agreeing with them buggers,
Right.
You know, and okay, you can't really get rid of them buggers too well. Just pray over them and break any association with it. Our pastor that used to be here, Pastor Miller, he had tatted it all up. He would wear the longest sleeves in the middle of the summer so nobody would see him, because he didn't want to give people ideas that it's the greatest thing on earth to go and get tattoos. But you know, I always wanted one with, like, I wanted one to have circles of flowers like cherry blossoms all around my arm. And Jim says, just get some of them, you know, semi-permanent, you know. And then Pastor Mike, no tattoos. I'm just telling you, no tattoos. He's not going to yell at me from telling you to get tattoos. But, you know, especially if it's something aligning up, you know, make sure you pray over those buggers. You know, something that's lining up with the dark side. You know, no vampires, no werewolf stuff. Nothing that's talking about something that's rebellious against God. You know, let God give you discernment over things like that. And it's like the other week I was out with somebody and their kid had the earring in the wrong ear. I'm like, you're not telling me? I'm like, yeah, they want to be a girl now. I'm going to keep that kid in prayer, you know, because they don't know nothing. Like, first of all, you got to pray for them so that they'll even let you pray. Pray for them first so they can come in agreement and go, okay, I am really concerned about this. I don't want them going down that path, because it's just going to waste a whole lot of their time. You know, it's prom time and they want a dress instead of a suit. The other one, what they want, a suit instead of a dress. You know, and it's like, you know, it's hard these days. You don't want to offend people. Remember, love the sinner, but hate that sin. They're unconscious that it's a sin. Especially these days, we're going to have safe zones for people. And I think that's fine, you know, but at the same point, because I'm come from the generation where people of that type of, you know, they're lesbian or homosexual, and, you know, they're showing it off or something, they're going to get beaten up. They're going to get kicked. That ain't fair to them. You have to love people where they're at. But at the same point, you can't say, I'm so happy for you. Well, I can't be happy for you because you were born into this body. And they have this thing where I think that my soul, you know, I have a girl soul, girl spirit, but I got stuck in a different body. But it's that spirit that's attached to them before they got to their body in that womb. And it's telling them something different. And they don't understand. Nobody, how many percents of anything understands like that? Sometimes if it's just something in your culture that happens, that you're supposed to have a spirit spouse, that everybody has this, everybody does it, everybody knows about it, and they don't care because they think it's fun and it's fine. Sometimes a spirit spouse comes in because it is desired for the connections with witchcraft or Satanism to make them more powerful. Okay, it's 11:52. I'm going to give you some symptoms. Some of the symptoms that you may have a spirit spouse, okay? And it's a bunch of them, but yeah, alignments, Apollyon and Abaddon, like you said.
Right.
Jezebel, Leviathan especially, Kundalini, because it twists everything around. Beelzebub, and you know, Kundalini isn't just a twister. Leviathan also twists and distorts, but Kundalini twists because it wants to be your Holy Spirit, your fake one, your counterfeit one. And Beelzebub, because it loves to defile you. So let's go over some of these symptoms so we get out of here at a decent time. It's 11:53. Sometimes you're going to be dreaming. If you have, or remember, if other people are telling you of some of these symptoms, then you can stand in the gap for them. You can tell them, you know, you might have something called spirit spouse. Or just, you know, might say something easy like a night demon, a night thing, you know. If they're like really weirded out about demons and they don't like you talking and they start shutting you out, just say, you know, there's things that come in the night in your dreams and this and this and this, and then you can just go and you can pray for them. Dream consistently of having sex, being in a sexual, You are being raped, you're being molested. This thing comes up to you, you don't know who it is, and all of a sudden you're flat on your back and it's having sex and you're having a supernatural orgasm. Okay? And it happens. And it's consistent. It's not just like maybe something's, you ate something weird and your brain's messed up and you went out drinking the night before. Maybe you had a little too much wine with your spaghetti at the fine Italian restaurant and you're a little loopy and you go home and you have a weird, it could be, something natural going on, or something like, they say, oh, where there's this in your mind or your body, you haven't had sex for this much time and this is going to happen. We're not talking about that. We're talking about something where you're consistently having a rapist coming into you, or you're having something that just comes up and all of a sudden it's having sex with you and kaboom, you just had an orgasm. Okay? And this is happening multiple times, over and over and over. Yeah. And then you feel the shame. Well, the next day, that same day, yes, Tori.
I had a question.
Okay.
If somebody astral projects in your room, is that a part of the spirit spouse, or that gives you spirit spouses?
That's called, that is astral, and it acts like a spirit spouse. But it is not the spirit, it's not like the demon of it. It is that person's a part of their soul. They are projecting out of them a part of their soul to rape you. And as a type of witchcraft, and as a type of, it's you might think it's a spirit spouse. But if it's actually their astral projecting, and witches do this all the time. They come into a person's house. Wizards do it all the time. And they come and they molest you, or they are, having sex with you, and, maybe they're your weekly visitor. They have to come in and this is their night to have it with you. The shamans, they have a certain day, an evening set aside for their spirit spouse. Yes. But that, it's in that realm, but it's not that demon. It is a spirit, but it could have a demon attached to that to help them fly to you,
The only way that they can do things is if they have like a legal right. So even if they choose to come in the spiritual realm and do something to you, they can't really attach anything to you unless they have a right to. Or you give them a right?
There's right. Sometimes we're just blank. Sometimes we don't fight back either. If we don't use our will, trespasses. So, it's just like somebody coming on your property, and say they're coming on your property and urinating on your property because they feel like they got to take a leak, right? And they're on your grass and they just did this. They are now trespassing. You didn't want that to happen, but it just happened. So people can come in, these wizards, witches, people that know how to astral project. Any person at all learns it. A lot of people into transcendental meditation, they just do it all the time. And they can come and visit you. I think someone in my family does that. And because they've talked about it a whole lot of times. And I could literally hear that person breathing in my room, and I knew it was him. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing here? But wouldn't leave. I'm like, oh, so you have something else going on besides. You're on an assignment here. But some people are like, I like that one, and I want to take her because I want her. And it's astral projection. It's out of their own mind, not necessarily a spirit spouse. But you would pray along the same terms as you would with a spirit spouse. Okay? Yes, Brent?
So, some years back when I was a 19-year-old young man, I was involved with stuff. I would have found out it was international, but they call it telepathy. Is that similar to astral projection? I got delivered from it, but I just wondered, is that connected to astral projection?
Telepathy, is that where they think they read your mind or something?
Yeah, and then they start giving you suggested comments as I turn you on.
It's spirits that, more like familiar spirits that come into your head. They know you very well, so they're going to tell them everything about you. Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. Your anointing and your gifting starts feeling like it's lackluster. It starts draining away. You're feeling useless in your gifts and your anointing. You're not getting anywhere. You're not rising up higher with it. You're not getting more into it. It affects you in your spirit realm of your work for the kingdom. Oh yeah, I'm going to also say this, that sometimes as they are mating with you in your dream, or as you're starting to come awake, some of these also start coming to you during the day and fondling you. Some of them start poking you. They want you during the day after a while as well as at night. They want you to want them instead of wanting your husband or your wife, whichever it is. They start getting on your case. Let's have this during the middle of the afternoon type thing. There's ones that are so strong into witchcraft. People can conjure them up and send them your way. Ones that physically, bodily manifest these demons, okay? The witchcraft person knows how to get them to be as real as you. Not transparent, not like a ghost, but it seems exactly like a person, but there's something kind of off. Sometimes they copy you and go towards your husband. I heard a person, several people actually, where they will go to work for you.
Wow.
Yeah. However, the opposite of that is you want to stay home and worship the Lord, and your spirit man goes to work for you, and it's doing all the work on the computer or something, right? Cleaning up your house. Your body is being used to clean your house or go and do the work by the Holy Spirit, but you as a human being, your spirit man's out there in heaven. And you come back. I've heard this, a few people say, this is what happened. We don't know how all this work got done, but it got done. And all she remembers is I started praying, saying, God, I don't even want to go to work today. I want to be with you all day long.
I'm doing that Monday.
Try it out, Jordan. And I'm like, I personally have never had that happen. I've always got to do every dish, you know. But, so see, there's an opposite. Where you can be caught up into heaven, but you're doing things. But then there's the opposite, which we see it now in that spirit realm of the devil, where he's manifesting you, and you're there having sex all day with that demon, and the other you is going and doing your work for you. You know, it's like, well, getting on the bus, and everybody just says, man, you seem really weird yesterday. Like, yeah, I guess so. They don't know really how to, they're not you. It's just trying to look like you. It takes your shape shifters, okay? Yeah, another type of shape shifting.
So how do you know if that happened to you?
If somebody says to you, I saw you in such and such a place, and you know you was not there.
My goodness.
You know? That happened to me one time. I'm just saying, you were in this place and you even had that hat on and you were doing this, and it was not a good thing to be doing. I'm like, what? I'm like, I'm going to do that. Going, nobody in all of Towson and Perry Hall, nobody has that hat. It was a cowboy hat. And nobody was wearing hats. Like, I just like my leather hat. And he says, I saw you, I know you, and your name's this because you introduced yourself to me.
Wow.
I'm like, oh my. I'm like, what I was doing? And he told me I was a prostitute.
What?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, this is insanity. This is whacked out. Right. But I was in that with all them people, the Satanists. They were doing some really crazy, flipped out things. I just didn't know how crazy they had done with me. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. And then you want to know if I really did want to go out. I'm like, no, no. But he said that to me, and I knew he was telling me the truth. And I'm like, I don't like hearing what you're saying to me. And he goes, oh, maybe you really don't no. I'm like, I couldn't have been there because I was here. We were in a nightclub, you know, one of those discos back at that time. And I would go with my boyfriend, and I would go with a bunch of my girlfriends. And we would all go and just, none of them wanted to dance, but we would just sit there and talk and eat and stuff. But he said, I know, you were there, and that was your name. I'm like,
Wow.
that's scary. I don't like that. Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever heard of them actually getting you pregnant in the spirit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I have that further down the list.
Oh, sorry. I'm just curious.
Yeah, they say that a lot of them say they've had spiritual births. They're not just dreaming it. They will maybe dream of a child, a baby being born. They will dream they are pregnant. They are dreaming, you know, the person that's being, you know, attacked by this. They'll dream that they are pregnant, that they are breastfeeding. Some of them have gone so far in this that it's so usual in their culture that, you know, they come home, they sleep next to, you know, say they have married Susie and they sleep next to Susie, but as soon as they dream, their spirit wife picks them up and takes them back in the marine kingdom, down under that ocean, into that city, and they'll have 2, 3, 4 kids. And I'm like, that is some kind of a dream. And they'll be like, I love my life with them better in that spirit soul realm better than I like my life here with Susie.
Wow.
Yes, Tori.
Yeah, my godmother, she's from Nigeria, and she be talking about that. She said a lot of her family is actually does that. Like,
Yes.
they'll have like a spiritual family that they go to. They could be rich, they got mansions, they got everything we
Yes.
have here.
Exactly.
But it's like they poor here, but they can leave and live in this spirit.
In that.
type of thing.
Exactly. Exactly. That is the absolute truth. It sounds incredibly crazy, but it doesn't matter if it's crazy to us as Americans that have never experienced this stuff. It's the solid truth of what people live in many other countries and in other continents, down in the islands. This is their type of religion. And okay, you know, grandma, say grandma going over there, but grandpa, he's got himself a spirit wife too, and he goes into his own thing, and it's a beautiful life. And then you have to go back to this, and it's not just a fantasy because you got a crappy life in Baltimore City. It's because that is your lifestyle of splitting, and it goes, your soul goes over there with that other spouse, and you have these children. And sometimes people like, they have, say you're a Christian and you have this thing come to you and the orgasm happens and they're pregnant. A lot of times it ends up with that baby dying. The baby that's in you will die. Or you miscarry.
Like in real life?
Yeah, in real life. It kills your natural child.
Wow.
Because it wants to kill your marriage off, it wants to kill your children off. And, you know, you hear these people, the missionaries, they say it over and over and over, this happens, you know, or, you know, the wife is not submitting into that type of thing with the husband, you know, and joining them with getting that spirit spouse thing going on, you know, so that you can both be happy while you're sleeping. You know, you can both have your own individual lives, but then you come together and you're going to cook breakfast and eat together, and he's going to go to work and you're going to take care of your kids or something. It's not like that. It's like those demons really want you separated as much as possible. They want you to get rid of your husband, get rid of that wife, and they want to take control of you over you. You're the one they want because they're stealing your spirit.
So talking about the children and the dreams aspect, I got a question for you because I've had an instance, I think it was last year, that I had 3 different people tell me within the same month that they had a dream that they had my baby.
Wow.
So I was wondering, could that be like a spirit spouse or like a spirit that's posing as me? You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? Like
That's
it's a
masquerade.
fantasy
Puts
or
on
something?
puts on its face, looks like you. Sometimes it does it. It says, I read talks about pastors, especially because it wants to break the trust.
Right.
Or that, oh, that's the person I'm going to marry, Pastor Jordan. We were having a kid. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, it can do that because, for one thing, they might have a lustful spirit towards you. Then again, it might simply just be that thing trying to pull their trust and faith in you as their pastor to cause them to walk away from you where you could have had something important to put into them.
Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. I remember a lady here used to come and she would have dreams with Pastor Blaine, and I'm like, that's pretty sick.
Yeah.
And she'd be telling him what to do. I'm like, well, now I know that is not of God, because you ain't not going to tell him what to do. Okay, let me hurry up. Dreams of being married, getting a ring, a marriage ring. You can feel it on your finger invisibly.
Wow.
During the day. You feel it. You might dream of a wedding certificate, seeing your name on it and somebody else's, or you don't know them. You might see a picture, a wedding photo of you and that other person. In the photo, there ain't going to be a face there. Because it's a spirit. Yeah, you might see yourselves looking at each other in like a mirror. You're like, okay, honey, let's go and get fixed up, and this person's next to you. You're gonna see the body, you're not gonna see the face.
Wow.
Yeah. Weird, huh? But that's how it goes. This is from the people that have experienced this stuff. Christians now. And I will say those people in Africa, when they're dedicated to God, they are really dedicated to God. And they want other people free. No marriage for you. You have to wait so long, it's ridiculous. Because the spirit spouse is like, no, you're mine. I don't want you with nobody else. You don't want to get married, or you jilt them. You get married, he wants out. Planning the wedding, it ends. You fight. Nothing's the same. No reason for all this. And you just keep fighting between yourselves. You and your real husband. Or whatever. You're at, okay, we did that. Violated, mental anguish. You feel PTSD after it's happened to you. You get drained emotionally and physically the whole day after. You might feel it in your body. Like sometimes it might make you have an orgasm that's like, it hurts. Like it hurts. And it's like lightning bolt struck you. And it hurts that much. And you're like, you're afraid to ever have sex again because it hurt that bad. It's just funky. Next day, you can't function. Your mind's confused. You have shame and guilt. Fear to sleep again. Addictions arise. The addictions arise. Arise and arise. Now you got this going on and that going on. Lust of the flesh and lust of the eye. Dreams of pregnancy or breastfeeding. The pregnancy ceases. There was one lady, had this thing happen to her. The child was 6 months in the womb. It aborted the next day.
Wow.
It aborted. Yeah. We don't want that happening to our kids or our grandkids or ourselves. Your desires for the spirit husband, not your real one. I've said a lot of these things as I'm yapping all day here. You might have sex with your spouse, but now somehow it hurts. It's distasteful. You don't like his touch, his smell. You don't like what he's saying to you. You don't like how he's moving around. You don't like any of it. Yes.
Remember you told me about the little disease thing of the spirit, whatever?
No.
No?
You remember?
Yes. Okay, alright. So Jordan was talking to me. He was saying that somebody was, like a spirit was having sex with him and they came up with actual STDs. So if you can actually get that.
Not with me. This was somebody else. That was somebody I was ministered to.
If that physical thing can manifest in the physical when you're suffering from it.
Yeah.
Can a spirit have sex with you and you have a baby?
Yes.
A real baby.
Yeah.
With nobody having sex with you.
A real baby in the
So
natural?
is that a demon baby or something?
Yeah, I've heard. Okay, I'm just gonna say that this is what I've heard. Okay, that I think they call them Ogbanis in Africa and Nigeria. I think I don't know if it's Ogbanis or Obanis. They're spirit children, and they don't usually last very long on the earth, and they'll be always like sick and something wrong. And it's like, I mean, I can't wrap my head around that, because then I would think, my thinking is, well, if they can have this one, what about, these giant things coming back again, or those hybrids again? But they'll say that, I think it's the Agbani or Abani, I'm not sure. It starts with an O, kind of like that last name, Agbana. But they call them Abani children, and they don't usually make it to like age 6. A lot of them die when they're 2 or 3. And it's like those people, they say they know it's not a natural child. I'm just saying what they say, okay? I can't teach this as absolute everything, but I'm just putting it out there that this is what they experience in Nigeria and other countries over there. Kenya, a lot of different ones, they'll say it. They say this child is born sickly, they're not normal, they're not natural acting, nothing, they're just weird, like really weird. And it's not like, well, they're missing a couple genes or something. They look fine, but they're sickly, and they usually die, and they know, and these kids are like, they're just attracted to the water because it's marine spirit thing. Hold on.
So
and they're like,
not a life. God can't take their life when they die. It's a something, not a person.
They say that they return to that. And I'm like, this is something that I don't understand. Yeah. It's like I didn't even want to talk about it because I don't know how to wrap my head around it spiritually. And where does God come in with this? Or if he does, I mean, like we always teach, well, like, if your baby dies, he's going to go to heaven, And these ones are saying, oh no, they're going to go back with their spiritual father, their thing, that demon. And I'm like, this is too much for my head. Okay, that's all I can say is, I'm not Maddie Nottage. I'm not some of these people that know or have been around people that go through this. And all I can say is some of their, theologically, what they believe might not be right on target. That's not something I've actually discussed with a pastor. So I can't say that this is God's honest truth, but this is how they see it in their country, in their tribes, and wherever they're at, down in Brazil, down over there in Africa, India, these islands and stuff, I think Japan also. A lot, I'm trying to get a paper that was written at a college by a person that went into all these different places, and she actually seen all this stuff going on. She was with these people for ages, and it was her college thesis paper. And she was talking about this stuff. Japan, parts of China, they have this sort of stuff going on. And you can say, well, but we've got true religion here with the Lord Jesus, and we believe this, but I don't understand. If this child is born out of a soulish thing, and I can't really even make a comment on it, but this is what they believe, that it goes back to the water or whatever realm it came from that spiritual father, that spiritual demon father. And that's like, it's far out, but everybody used to be poo-pooing werewolves in London, and I'm like, or giants. There's giant skeletons all over the earth that they dig up. 9-footers, 12-footers, 15-footers. You can't sit there and say there wasn't ever giant human beings. What's up, Patty?
It's probably like maybe they can believe easier that Mary had a baby and not touched by a man. We know the Holy Spirit overcame.
Yes.
Those people might think, know, well, look, everybody worships Jesus, and Mary had him, wasn't touched by me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's spiritual. It happened. And those fallen angels were in spirit form, and they did something, you know. So, come on now. But we're here in America where we see less of it, but it is there. It is there. Some people, they'll sit there and say, oh, I was talking to somebody down in Georgia. Somebody was over there down in St. Louis, you know, and this and that. All kind of different places. People are seeing things, hearing things happening to them, and they're like, they want answers. And it's like, I don't know what to make of it. It's one of those things like, I don't even want to know this. But you have to. You know, so that's something I really want to talk to Pastor Blaine about, you know, and get his take on that. Theologically, to what happens, you know, what goes on with these things. Because I've read of people that were in that satanic realm, and they could go onto different dimensions, different worlds in different dimensions. All kinds of insanity there. It was literally driving them crazy. And so, you know, because it was stuff made up by Satan. I have been in the second heavens. I'll probably lose 3/4 of you. I've been in the second heaven. You know, our universe is the second heaven. And I've seen planets there formed by the demons where they had cities. Everything's as gray as my iPad screen. Everything was one color, but they had cities. If it would have been under, you know, like the Marine City is supposed to be like Crystal City underneath the sea. It looked like that was crystal. Everything looked like it was crystal, but it was gray. Solid gray. They dressed gray.
Wow.
It was crazy. And like, I'm seeing, you know, you sit there and you tell Pastor Blaine, like, he thinks he's going to be calling the loony bin shepherd pratt going to be coming here for me. I'm going to be gone, or tell Jim where I'm at. Please. But you get into these different realms, and it's stuff that honestly, as a Christian, you don't want that type of knowledge. But hey, if it comes up in a deliverance, we're going to know what to do. We're going to be like, this is not surprising now. We've just heard about this. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised. Because sometimes the stuff that I'm just learning, all of a sudden, here it is coming out in a deliverance. And it will match up with everything I'm learning. Now, here we go again. I'm like, okay, God, you're in charge. You might believe you need a divorce in order to better serve God. That's a symptom. Husband's getting in the way, or the wife's getting in the way. Now, you're supposed to serve God together. Maybe one day it will happen, maybe it's not, but you made a covenant with that spouse, and you're going to stick with it. I don't care if it's that bad or not. You stick with them, because after a while, it's going to get better. If she don't get better, he don't get better, guess what? You're going to get better. You're going to be able to go, piece of cake. Used to bother me 10 years ago, but now I can handle this. You know, you go, okay, we're good. That spirit spouse will make the other person extremely jealous, off the wall, will stalk you. So if you're thinking you're being stalked because they want to know where you're at and who you're with, it could be a spirit spouse that they have towards you. You want to be single, not married and miserable. You feel your spouse hinders you from ministry. Nothing materializes to help you with your job, to get in your job, getting a good job that you like, the life that you want, a ministry that you want to participate in or head up. Your health is like going down a lot of times. You have a hard time keeping healthy. Miscarriages, also a lot of times after an orgasmic encounter with a spirit spouse, where it comes in and comes in and comes in, eventually this child dies inside of you. It might even try to kill it, but most of the time it won't. It's usually when it's still in the womb and they can get to your body. They can get inside of you. Like she just said, STDs. You haven't been with nobody, and this dream's happening, and you're a virgin, and you have this woman at you, you have this guy at you, and you're having these dreams, and you have this crazy orgasm, and all of a sudden now you've got STD. Your mother's looking at you like, what did you do? It deposits seed in you. Seed of illness, seed of more lust. Where what you just hated it 2 months ago, now you're wondering about it. That was crazy. Yeah, but it felt good. You know, God made orgasms to feel good. But it wants you to get addicted to it, not your partner. Your property, especially electronic stuff, goes up. This one lady said she was writing that book with Bishop Kenko, City Under the Sea. I haven't finished that book yet because I'm doing other things. I think she went through 4 to 6 computers while she was typing up everything she was saying. 4 to 6 computers.
Get it out.
Yep. I know when my Daniel was a baby, all of her electric stuff started going bananas. My vacuum cleaner wouldn't work. His toys, we had one of those like cool toys, you know, it's a little table. He's only a baby, but I bought it for him. And you know, that you poke stuff and lights up and play songs. It would come on at 3 a.m. 3 a.m. Witchcraft hour. I'm like, you have got to be kidding. It would not stop. I'd have to take the batteries out. At 3 a.m. in the morning, where's that little screwdriver? I'm like, it's going out on the front lawn. And then finally, Jim, just go to the dumpster up the street. I can't take this. We'll buy something else. Even the little music thing that was on the side of Daniel's crib. We didn't have a crib for him. We didn't have room for a crib. So I got one of those like pop-up type things, you know. Yeah. I'm not even a bassinet, like a play yard, a playpen. Like, this is good enough for you, honey. And I would keep it right next to me. He's sleeping, I'm sleeping. On comes the electronic music box. 3 a.m. in the morning, like, wow. 4:30 a.m. Like, what is up with that? I had to rip that thing off of there and throw it out. I don't know, but they like getting in your electronic stuff. Your spouse may have had some near-death experiences. Wow. Suicidal thoughts. Ideation of suicide, the fantasy, the allurement of it, whispers for you to abort the baby you're carrying or to give it to a witch for sacrifice. And there's reproductive issues, fibroids, endometriosis. This one person, I can't remember who that was on YouTube, they were saying, look at this fibroid the doctor took out. The doctor was flipping out. Now, we don't know. I mean, doctors usually don't flip out. It could be totally made up, totally not made up. I do not know. The doctor's saying, this is a fibroid. They were saying this person sounded like there was a heartbeat inside of them. And so they went in because they're not showing any signs of a pregnancy, but that they had fibroids. So they took the fibroids out and the heartbeat stopped. And then they're looking at the fibroids. There's like 3 of them or something. They said, this is actually how a child shapes at like certain amount of weeks or something. This is basically the shape of a child, a baby, a fetus. You know, I don't think they even call it a fetus at that point. And they're like, you know, this was just this particular person. And again, I can't say that this is, you know, I can't validate it. I can't, but this is what they had on their thing. And the other person with them said, I'm telling you, Dr. So-and-so, they were African lady, you know, nurse, and they're going, we call that a spirit baby. And you just took it out. Wow. And they're like, what? And the doctor's like, okay, you know, I'm just putting some crazy stuff out here for you. What you do with it is your own thing. But you go to Africa on a missions trip and you spend a dozen years or so there, You're going to come back seeing things that you know are true that you never would have believed are true. You go there. My daughter, she had a friend, the wife was saying, my husband has to go back to Africa. They're sending him back to Africa. And she's going, I don't want him to go back. I know they're going to kill him and they're going to eat him. So he went. Never heard of him. I think it was like 8 years later, she finally sees that girl again. She goes, wait a minute, what happened? Your husband come back, right? No. She says, I went over there and they said, well, he disappeared.
Wow.
When somebody disappears, they were sacrificed and they were eaten. That's the end story of it, okay? So this is it. This is like the worst stuff I have to tell you. So you can go home and pray.
This is a little graphic, but it goes with something you just said. And y'all know I just had surgery for fibroids.
Yeah,
But,
I think we leave with a prayer before we go. I go home
I
to
was,
Nigeria.
and as the surgery goes on, parts of the fibroids supposed to fall out. And just the other day, a part fell out, and I said, "Wow, this looks like a shape of a fetus at like when you first." And I said, "No, I'm tripping and flushed the toilet." But that is so like So parts of it
looks.
Wow.
That's weird.
Yeah, that is.
I don't know what to make of all of
We're
this.
weird.
I don't know what to make of all of it, but all I can say is it's things for you to pray about. And I mean, do you have any of these other symptoms like ongoing?
I have dreams once in a while that I have sex with people.
Yeah, because they say a lot of times you can be in a deep sleep where you do not remember your dreams, like in a very unconscious realm where you will not remember the dreams. And sometimes it's only like, if it's something like, wow, it woke you up, or as you're starting to wake up out of your sleep, you know, and you're in that twilight area, something comes at you. But it was saying a lot of people, they are unaware of their dream. They're unaware of this
I have a
happening.
lot of dreams and I don't remember, but I do have dreams that I have sex with people. But when I wake up, I rebuke the dream because I know that is not right.
Yeah.
And the people that is in the dream that I may be having sex with, like that's just crazy.
Yeah.
We reject this dream. That is not. So no, y'all be weird like this.
Right.
So,
It's stuff that just isn't natural and normal, or something you would ever want.
Right.
You know? But some of these people where they're not Christian, they want that dream.
Yeah.
And then they get, like Tori said, they have a separate identity life. They have a home somewhere. They might have, you know, they go off and they're having a party for their spirit child. And I'm like just hearing this stuff like a couple months ago. I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to teach on this. This is too much. Now, Pastor Blaine going to be sitting there saying, Patty, you are going off the deep end. You're nuts. I'm like, it's coming up often in this church. It's starting to arise, and I think some of it's being recognized. And how far you want to go with this kind of stuff, that is your own choice. I'm putting it out there so you know. Instead of somebody not saying, you never told me, why didn't you tell me this? I'm just like, it flipped me out. A couple of you might be flipped out and say, I ain't coming back to this class again. Don't turn that channel and choose that woman nuts. But Africa is a big continent. India, South America, the Native Americans, we're surrounded by people that understand stuff like this. And white Europeans know basically nothing. So I'm trying to walk into the footsteps of people that do know. People that, like Maddie Nottage, that woman got something going on.
She's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, Anointed Fire, I don't know how she knows all this stuff, but she's teaching it. There's different people that are trying to get the average basic American to understand stuff so you can pray for somebody, you can pray for yourself, you can get yourself purified for the Lord, and you can keep your ministry, and you can grow into it, and you can do something and just knock that sucker out of your life. because you're important. Everybody here is important, and you're all so important that I bought all this junk in the middle of the here's. Everybody can pick out something they want to take home. If there's a card in front of you, there's a card to take home. It's a Christmas card that I did not sign, so you can do whatever you want with it. You can recycle it.
Is this one like up
Yeah,
front?
Everybody for you. Anything you want. I believe I got enough for everybody.
I got one.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's nice.
Yes, we'll end. We're going to end here.
Patty, are we gonna